And my guest is quite interesting because of a number of things. I'll give you the context. So my guest got married not too long ago, being April. And in such a time like this, if you know what I mean, we call it the bala, which is not something that is very common these days, is planning ahead for the marriage. You know, a number of people just get fixated on the wedding and forget the marriage. So from the food stuff that needed to be eaten by herself and her husband, they bought them ahead of time and so many things. So I just want to understand her thought process and why she decided to take some of the decisions that she took. And most importantly, how is it like being a single lady and now answering to another person's name? Aha, which is where we're going to start. She has not changed her surname. So with all that, you have the context. Please make welcome a product manager, a very excellent content creator. People who love her and know her and follow her content call her Bolu Billions, but she is Boluwatife Bamigboye. Good morning.
Yay. Drum roll. Good morning, Chill. Good morning. Really excited to be here. Very excited to be here. And I think we should get straight into it because there's a lot to probably talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
starting from why have you not changed your surname?
I have a philosophy that everybody should bear their father's name. When I have
Wonderful.
children from my husband, by the grace of God, they will bear their father's name. I don't think that, I should just cancel all my life, my name, my everything, because I'm getting married. I don't know. I think sometimes I still struggle with that thought that is it the right thing to do? But I've thought about it, over and over again, and I'm just comfortable with, why am I not bearing my name? Like, he's bearing his name. I'm bearing my name. When we have children, they will bear his name. Since, based on culture, they take on their father's name. So let me take on my father's name. Like, why do I have to leave my father's name because I'm, married? It doesn't really change anything if we're being honest. You know, I'm okay with having to change it. And my husband is still pretty chilled about it. We've had conversation. I think the first time I said this is like, we changed the name. But then we had like more conversations and he started to see reason like, wait, it's actually true. Like, it doesn't actually change anything, in your bloodline, if you're being honest, or, what attachment you have in terms of family wise. So why do you have to really change your name? So I think we are chilled for now. Maybe very soon now, if I blow now, it will say, oh yeah, change it. Let the world know that you're my wife, But I mean, that's just my thought process. Let everybody bear their father's name. It's just as simple as that, for me.
I mean, it's quite fascinating considering the fact that a lot of ladies look forward to being Mrs. This and Mrs. That. In fact, some people while dating already start to call themselves Mrs. This person. And I'm
I'll tell
thinking,
you that I had to travel over the weekend and I saw the flight ticket and I saw Mrs. and I'm like, who is that? I don't remember. The other ladies married, older married women looked at me like, how dare you? How dare you not remember that you're married? And in that moment, it actually dawned on me that I've not even realized that I've transitioned from Miss to Mrs. like fully. If somebody calls me by my husband's name, I feel like I'll probably sit down and just look like, oh, is that me? I didn't know that was me. Well, yeah, my philosophy to it is just very simple. Bear name, that's my father's name. And that's what I'm hearing.
okay, now that is an interesting place to start because talking about how there are times that you don't realize that you are in quotes married because of a number of things. And that's where we're going next. So, in case you're joining us for the first time, you're listening to Soul Sisters right here on Smooth 98.1. And the conversation today is about transitioning from being a single lady, especially in Nigeria, to being married, all the things that dawn on you. And my guest is Boluwatife Bamigboye. We'll be right back. Just a quick ad break and we will be back.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Find out in Mura Season 3, a Showmax original telenovela. Subscribe from 1,600 Naira monthly Sign up now.
I'm just trying to share the link with a couple of
You
people.
said?
And I'm trying to share the link
Oh,
with a
okay.
couple of people.
All right, back. Love music, love life. You are listening to Soul Sisters, and we are talking about an interesting topic. Now, of course, you know that you can always be a part of it with your comments, with your contributions, or maybe your disagreements, whatever it is that has been said, that you're thinking, no, why would you think that or do that? No worries. We're welcoming them. The WhatsApp line is 0809 4440981, while the call line is 0201 448 9981. We're equally live on YouTube, where we're streaming live so you can see my face and the face of my guest. And that is at Smooth 92 FM Lagos. Again, at Smooth 92 FM Lagos. So yeah, remember the WhatsApp line. Just make sure that you include your name if you're saying anything to us, especially if it's the first time. And my name is Oluwaseun Olusegun. So back to being a married woman. You made a post about how sometimes people ask you, how is married life coming on? And you're wondering, what exactly am I supposed to tell you? So I am asking, how has it been? How many months married now? 6 months married or 5 months married?
It's 5. It's going to be 5 by next week, actually. 5
Ah,
months next week.
do you do the anniversary 1 month married, 2 months married?
We do it. Oh, I did see. I used to actually, in quote, mock people that do. I'm like, just wait for 1 year now. 1 year is anniversary. But now every month like this, I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, it feels very real though. Like me to have somebody's wife. That's so exciting, And I think when people ask me how is married life, I'm so confused. Like, what exactly do you want to know? What do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you what I'm struggling with? Do you want me to tell you what I'm enjoying? Which one exactly do you want? And I think that the first thing everybody actually wants to know, if we're being honest, especially people who are very close to you, is they want to ask you, how is the sex? I think that that is what is on most of them's mind. They just want to say, gist me. In my head, I'm like, are you sure you want to know the gist? Which one do you want? But that's like part of it. If I would say, how is married life? Number one, the reality that I have to cook as many meals that I've had to cook. Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
And number two, the number of plates that I have to wash. Thankfully, my partner is very supportive, like very, very supportive. But sometimes I'm like, I just want to call my baby sister and say, oh yeah, go and wash the plates for me. But I can't call my husband. There's nobody to call this time around. It's me and this plate in the kitchen. And I'm very used to, when I want to cook, I'll tell my siblings, oh, come to the kitchen, you do this, you do that. And, everybody will just do it. And ask my big sister. But now it's me and the kitchen alone. Hey, Jesus. And I'm like, I've not even started because you don't have kids yet. There's still a lot that's not happened. And I am struggling, man. I am struggling. I'm struggling. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things I've struggled with, so far. But every other thing, it's chilled, it's chilled, it's chilled, it's chilled. Marriage is chilled.
so
Sure.
I will ask one based on what you said. Now, I want to assume, based on what you have said, that you transitioned from being in your parents' house to your husband's house, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Now, what's your thoughts and your take on transitioning first to being a single lady living alone, then to the husband's house? Do you think it makes it easier for you to adjust, or it makes it even difficult because now you're going to be in someone's space? Or tell me.
I think that you should actually live that independent life as a woman. But I don't think it's just necessarily to prepare you for marriage, right? I think that there's something about being independent that it does to your, psychology. You are so, for me, I'm very people reliant in terms of doing things in the kitchen. If I wanted to arrange my wardrobe, like as little as that, I want to have somebody with me to do it with me because I have a lot of siblings and I always have like one person living in my house. But since I I'm now married. My husband is not always going to be beside my side, be beside me to say, oh, let me help you, because our schedules can be very different. Now I have to struggle with the fact that I should actually be able to do this thing myself. Why am I waiting for somebody to actually be with me to do it? And I realized it's because I'm very people reliant because of the house that I've lived in, right? And I think that I've lived by myself before when I served, in Calabar as during NYSC, and I think that that particular phase shaped me. So I know what it means to actually be very independent in that sense. But the moment I got back to my house, I'm like, take me, everybody help me, carry one leg, carry one hand, and stuff like that. So I think that you should have the experience of living by yourself, but not necessarily as because of marriage. And also, if you live in your parents' house, there's a way that culturally parents are just naturally preparing for marriage. Any small thing you do, they say, is this how you do in your husband's house? Is this how you do in your husband's house? Such that you become so conscious of it that when you actually move into your husband's house, you are asking yourself, have I learned all the lessons, that I'm supposed to learn, as like am I making my mother proud, in that sense. So yeah, I think both works, as long as you know what you're doing and you have an
Mm.
understanding partner. Yeah, I believe so.
So those things they would often say that now you have to deal with somebody being in your space all the time. That does not apply to you because you like people around you.
I do. And I grew up, I have like four other siblings. I have four other siblings. I have people who've lived in my house. I'm very okay with you being, like, my concept to it is, should be supposed to sleep and wake up. It's not a big deal. Like, I could live in a house with 10 people and I would not feel burdened as long as everybody, just, respect themselves and be, I'm very okay with it mentally. It doesn't do anything to me. Maybe on some days I could get overwhelmed. But aside that, I'm very comfortable with, living with as many people as possible. And then when it's then my partner, somebody that I love, I'm okay. Oh, let's sleep and wake up. Having somebody in my space, I don't think there's anything that really changed. Sometimes it's just very, like, I wake up in midnight and I'm like, who is this? Oh shit, I'm all right. Like sometimes it happens like once in a while like that. What do you mean I'm sleeping in bed? And my mother and father are in their space and they're not upset about it. They're not thinking of it as a sin. Wow. It's like very exciting, It's very exciting. Yeah.
That is interesting. Now, what are some of those things that you feel like you guys didn't tell me about this before getting into marriage?
Hmm. I think that, social media has done a lot of help in terms of exposing like a lot of the issues. So one way or the other, you have an idea of what it is going to look like or the possible challenges. But the uniqueness of your marriage is so interesting that just realizing that the way it works for every other person might be entirely different from how it is going to work for you. And I'm coming to the realization every day that my marriage is actually very different, or it's unique, not different. It's unique, and I have to take it on as that journey. Um, to be honest, you know how people would say, "Oh, the first year of marriage is very scary. Is this? Is that?" Unconsciously, I had taken on that fear of, hey, maybe let me prepare myself for whatever battles I will face in the first year of marriage. But when I started to have a lot of fun, guess what started to bother me? I would say, are you sure we are doing this marriage thing seriously?
Whoa.
Marriage is serious. Is it not supposed to be serious? And he's like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be, what do you want us to do that would make you feel like we are serious in this marriage? And I realized that I'm actually here to have fun. It's not supposed to be a daunting task that I wake up to every day that I have to do. Number two would be the planning of your lives together.
Hmm.
You have to then start talking about, you could have had those conversations before marriage, But then it gets more serious because, oh, all the planning, we are now in it. You know, we now have to be very, very serious about all the things that we've been talking about. Like, oh, we want to have a child at so period. What do we need to do to have the child? What are the things that we need to put in place? Then you're having those review meetings and you're asking yourself very serious questions.
Review meetings.
And number three would be that you are not always right. Hey, Jesus. Hey, Jesus. I, you could calculate what the other person has done, and you have things to say like, oh, I think that you should have done this and that better. And then the person gives you feedback as well. You're like, I thought I tried my best. On Sunday, something had happened and I was carrying my face up, to be honest. And then my husband comes to me and say, what is wrong? Like, just talk now. Why you carry your face up? Say what is on your mind. And then I laid out my points and I said, Bolu, no, but that's not what happened. And then he listed it, and I'm like, Jesus. Now I'm the one that is wrong. Then I had to say, I'm sorry. See, from that Sunday, this man has taunted me every day with the things that I said. Because it's like, next time, you instead of carry your face up, you just open your mouth and say it. So now I'm realizing that true, I can't be right all the time, no matter how calculative you are. Even in your calculations, that's when you can even end up being wrong. So I don't have my guard up like, oh, I'm trying to trap the other person. No, but I will still always be right. And it's hard to struggle
Welcome
with sometimes.
now.
Yeah.
What aside having to be in the same space now and you're not going, you're together from morning till night. Well, on days like that, what are some of the things that have changed from when you were dating and when you're now married now?
So we work from home, which I don't even know makes it worse or better, right? We work from home, like fully at home, like all the time. But I think when we were dating, sometimes you could not understand why your partner could not send you a what's up, how is your day going? It comes very late and you're like, see now, you've not sent me a message. But now the reality is that we are in our different workspaces and the two of you are fighting for your lives. And when you see each other, you're like, hey, my husband, hey, my wife, sorry, you two are fighting for your life where you are. It's the reality of our lives every day. Or like you're walking in, your partner is in a meeting and you see him literally fighting for his life with that call, with that meeting, with that staff and whatnot. I think that I'm now in the reality of your life every day. Or when you have issues, maybe I have issues with somebody, and you are literally in the reality of the person's life. And you see how the person wants to talk on and on about it, explain. Like I'm more in his work. I'm trying to understand what he's doing in his work. And then the one that I how should I be there for you is probably, when you're not in the same space full time, you you are kind of living your own life. You're just checking in to say, hey, what's up? How are you doing? How is work going? And he says, hey, it's not going so well, but I will talk to you about it later at night. And then you catch up at night for maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, and that's it. But this time, I'm living in the reality of your life, and I have to find out the exact ways to be there for you. Like, how can I be of help to you? I remember that, maybe like 2 months into the marriage, um, there was something going on at work for him, and it was a big issue that went in, day out. And I think on the second or third day, I woke up and I said, we've been living in this house together, but I can't feel your presence anymore. And he's like, Bolu, I'm going through the most right now. And I realized that the two of you can actually be in the same space, but your life is so apart in that moment. And then that day, we had to just make time to say, let's catch up. And that's when I started to realize that you can be physically present for somebody, but you're not there for them. So I'm, quick to ask questions like, how can I be there for you? Sometimes being there is just by being quiet safe, because if you're asking more questions, as in you want to scatter my dada at that point, and I'm just learning all these things day in, day out, to say, what does it really mean to be a partner in this moment, and there are different occasions. Maybe if I'm sick, if he's sick, like I got back from a trip, I came back sick, and I felt different. I'm like, this thing, if I'm sick, my partner knows how to be there for me, how to care for me. And these are different things that I did not experience, while we were dating, before. Yeah.
Mm. Well, definitely still a lot to talk about, but I'll quickly take some WhatsApp messages and we will return to you, Bolu. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, we are talking about transitioning. Yeah, transitioning being the key word here, because my guest is newly married. So we call it Diary of a Newly Wedded, and she's known as the Lagos Diary or My Lagos Diary. So we're talking about how it has been for her transitioning from a single lady who was living with her parents and her siblings to being married now and experiencing a whole new world. So you can join us on WhatsApp, and the line to send your messages to is 0809 444 0981. And says, your guest is a very funny person. See how I am laughing with the emoji. Chidozie says, so there are serious marriages and carefree marriages. I'm learning something this morning. Mr. Ron says, your guest is a very organized person who's funny too, Boots. Thank you. And Toyosi says, hello, ladies. I am really enjoying your conversation with your very interesting guest. Let me state that 5 months period is too premature to know what marriage entails. Let me say that culturally, mature single ladies who stay alone are sometimes stigmatized before as loose. Consequently, some parents insist that their daughters stay in their family houses until they get married. Well done. Thank you for your message. Easy says, hello, been married 21 years. One thing I wish I knew before getting married is that men are so selfish, or maybe I married a special selfish one. Wow. Okay, back to the conversation. You wanted to say something, Blue?
I think that the comment that says that 5 months is too early to know what marriage entails is absolutely correct. But I think that it's a journey, and every day of the journey actually counts. So whether it's 5 months, whether it's 10 years, every day of the journey counts. And a journey of 1,000 miles, begins with a step. So every day of the journey counts. Whether you're on day one, every day is actually day one. Like we say in product management, every day is day one. So it's like you're grinding, like, oh, yesterday didn't really matter. Today is a new day to grind. So, and that's like the mindset that I'm taking into marriage, to say every day it's a new day. So yeah, I'm sure that there are a lot of things that I'm here to experience. Motherhood is there to even, reveal another self to you. But every day is day one for, me, and I'm just willing to learn. Yeah, thank you.
We'll go back to talking about the marriage, but first, let's talk about the wedding. The wedding is very interesting because you have a number of interesting sides to yours. First of all, why did you decide not to have a wedding reception? Why did you decide to plan your wedding yourself?
So I think the summary of the answer is the resources. I've never wanted a big wedding, to be honest. I'm not one of the people who has dreamt about, oh, I want this type of wedding. I never had all those, expectations. I'd always said things casually, like just carry my load. Let them come and pay my bride price, and let me go to my husband's house. Let's go to court. Then we'll go to church and they'll pray for us, and that's it. And my mother would say things like, God forbid, and all of that. But when it got to that point, and she realized that this child is still insisting on, what she has always said, I guess they just had to, find a way to say, how can we meet in the middle? And I think I was very realistic with the resources available. I think that if I had more money, even though I'd never wanted a big wedding, I would still have gone all out, because I wanted to entertain my friends, my family members. And of course, after the wedding, I realized how much even though it's a wedding for you, it's also the wedding for your parents. It's their own moment as well. And I don't want to ever take that, that feeling away from them. Right. But I was very realistic with the resources available to say, if we choose to go all out, what is going to suffer for it? And just sitting down with my partner and saying, after that wedding day, is the both of us alone. We have to be very honest with ourselves. What can we do? At different points, if I'm being honest, we were tempted with the idea to do more, even from, oh, let's do a reception. Okay, let's not do a reception. Let's host our friends after. Let's do something. There was always a feeling to do more. And I realized that there's always more to do, but you have to find a way to stay within the limit of what you have decided. And the moment the two of us said, you know what, no turning back, let's stay within the limit of our resources. That was it. That was it for us. We just said we would rather choose other things, in our home, especially because the both of us work fully remote. We realized how important it was for us to have a very comfortable home. We are going to be in this space day in, day out. So what are the things that are going to be very important to us? Do we want to finish the wedding and we are then broke, and we are just waiting for the next salary after salary and trying to, get yourself together? Yeah, I guess those were like the very solid reasons. We decided to have just a very small wedding. And I guess it's because I didn't want a big wedding, to be honest. So I guess if I wanted it, it would have still happened.
I want to give so much kudos to your parents because as much as you want it, trust me, there are some parents that there's almost nothing that you can do. You will maybe get yours later on, but the fact that they said, okay, do whatever it is, that
Yeah.
speaks volumes actually.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, please go ahead.
No, absolutely. I must say I give credit to my mom, who is an Ijebu woman and knows what it means to party. I have to give her credit to say, well,
Whoa.
Bolu for actually calming down for me. And I'm the first person to get married in my house. And my husband is the first child of his parents.
And they let you get away with all of these things.
I'm still surprised. I'm still surprised. I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you. I cannot lie to you. I'm still
Did
very
both of
surprised.
you attend financial counseling, or both of you just had to put together your knowledge of finances and money management?
My husband is happens to be a very conservative person when it comes to like finances. I think then the two of us are not very hinged on maybe show offs and whatnot. And the third thing is my church, this present house, did a lot of good job with the counseling. It was a very thorough counseling that made us sit down to think and ask ourselves questions. And I remember that during our own counseling session, there were many people who would say, oh, they had issues with their partners because of marriage, wedding planning, wedding planning. And I think one day the two of us said, we're not going to fight about this wedding thing. If there's any touchy subject that we cannot figure out, let the both of us go sleep on it and we'll talk about it. And people would ask us, you already agree about wedding? We're like, no. What works? What does not work? Is this a selfish reason, to do this? Is this an emotional reason? Is this a logical reason? Is this a financial decision? And we will just fit it into the box and we would kind of move on from it. Yeah. And that's just it. That was
That's
just it.
lovely.
Yeah.
All right, back to the messages. 0809-444-0981. Again, 0809-444-0981 is the WhatsApp line. And remember that if you're sending a message for the first time, please include your name so I know who's talking to us. Now, if you'd like to dial, the number to dial is 0201-448-9981. Again, 0201-448-9981. Chidozie says, married people take turns in falling sick so that they can take care of each other. Wow, this thing sounds so fascinating to me. I'm sure you'll get there soon and you will have a better feel of it, Chidozie. All right. Hi, Muste. Good to read from you. It's been a minute. He says, hello, hope you're doing good. I've observed that people go into marriage with very high expectations, that they get disappointed when they realize they overestimated the price of love. I love you. Talk your own. Reciprocating love is a denial of self-love and placing the expectation on your partner. Don't get me wrong, love is real, but you should love yourself first before expecting your partner to fill in the gap. And if he or she doesn't, don't be too disappointed. Talking about selfish, and this is not a rebuttal. Virtually all men feel love differently when the woman becomes a mother. Love takes a different dynamics when kids come in. Mm.
Mm.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, they're absolutely correct. I don't have anything to fault on that. Absolutely correct. I think that when think somebody said something about thinking that your partner is going to fill up something in you
Yeah.
is such a key thing. And I think I probably struggled with the fact that your partner could be everything to you. Some people get very lucky to have their partner all in one, but not everybody is actually going to get lucky in that way. And you have to get to the point where you're comfortable with what your partner genuinely offers, to step into your life, or feeling in your life. So yeah.
All right then. Thank you, Muste. And he further said, one thing I will say is that the society should let married couples know themselves more before kids come in. Oftentimes, unnecessary pressure is put on the couple, which may backfire. Imagine couples waiting 2 years before having babies. This will reduce the bad blood when they break up. When? Muste, when? I also realized that some cultures abroad, even though I am not their greatest fan, have the advantage of waiting. The waiting period before kids help in planning for the kids instead of getting surprised with the new changes. Speaking about waiting, and did you guys have a sort of policy about when families will come over or when you start to entertain guests? I see that look.
I think because my husband is, I don't want to use the word carefree. It's like, let's all just be happy. And I'm also, I mean, I'm maybe 50% of his own kind of let's just all be happy. It doesn't have any issues. Like, let's just all be fine. Let's just live in peace and harmony. And I think maybe less than 1 month into the marriage, my sister-in-law had come. I'd called her, come and spend a weekend, or my other sister had come. We were just very chilled, like that. Maybe in terms of them coming to live full time, we're like, oh no, let's pause on that. Let's give ourselves time, and stuff like that. And I guess more recently we've had to have conversations around let's just know when one person is coming, let's give ourselves space, because it feels like maybe it's back to back at this point. I mean, we're happy to, but let's just give ourselves space. So yeah, brief conversation, but just that kind of don't touch on it too much. Let's not be like there's one drama happening with it, but let's just be very firm about it. Like, this is where we stand regarding this, and we've just left it at that point.
Now, speaking about conversations from your experience, it might be little, but from your experience, what are some of those conversations that you think if you're going to get married and you desire a long time together, you must have these conversations?
Different levels. And I would say that it has a lot to do with the person much more than even the conversations that you're going to have. In terms of what I mean is the foundation is that you have to be with a good person, a kind person, a godly person. See, everything that fits into the category of good, because you can have many conversations. If the person is wicked, higher, the conversations will just be pointless. It's pointless, right? So if the foundation is clear that you are getting married to a good person, number one is you have to be very big on communication, and understanding the communication styles of your partner is very, very important. You have to be very big on just talking about everything. And when I say everything, I mean your feelings, your work, because your work has a way of impacting your life, on a large scale, if we're being honest, right? So there are conversations about career that you need to have, conversations about spirituality, conversations about family. My family dynamics is very different from my partner's family dynamics. For instance, my partner's family, they're kind of quiet people. My own family, our mouth is very big. We'll see everything and anything. As it's coming to our head like this, we're giving it to you, you know. But then I had to realize that their own family, it's not, they don't have anything to say. It's okay, all right, okay, you know. And understanding family dynamics is like one of the key things. I guess you would also get to figure it out more when you are married. And then conversations about maybe your expectations. We have expectations. I try as much as possible to ensure that my expectations are not rooted in the things that I've picked up over across social media, movies, and whatnot. I'm hoping that my expectations are rooted in my own personality and desires, and I discuss it. Even as little as, oh, this is how I would like to be cared for if I was going through this kind of situation, or I would like to be prayed for, or these are the kind of spiritual activities that I want us to engage in. These are the kind of things that I want us to do together, possibly maybe go on dates every month, have review meetings. These are the kind of things that we should be able to discuss during our review meetings. There are many things to see, that we could actually talk about in that sense. And you are first, the foundation is that the person is a very good person, so you are able to build on that foundation day in, day out, and also being able to give yourselves grace by not assuming that the other person wants to hurt you. So even how to handle offense, or when the other person has hurt you, what are the things that you should never do? This silent treatment thing, me, I'm learning. I'm learning, I can't lie. I'm learning to not do silent treatment, especially because in my head, when you do something to me, I want to first assume that you did not do it intentionally. So in my head, I'm trying to process it. I'm trying to think for me. I'm trying to think for you. I'm trying to say what could have led to this point. But sometimes I take so much time, and then what gets me upset is you are living your own life. Me, I'm angry. I'm trying to.
But
You're
it
just
was your choice.
displaying. You will even come and say, what are we eating this night? I'm like, yeah. Can't you read the room that
Can't you see I'm angry with you?
I have this to say to you? And then when I open up and say, I think that you did this. He said, oh, why didn't you just say it now? And I'm like, now I've lost like 3 hours by just being angry and carrying my face up, but even how to handle offense, how to relate with each other's friends, each other's families, what is important to you, career expectations. Like there are times that I wake up and I casually say things like, can't I just resign and just be living a soft life? And
And
then
the husband will be taking care of you.
he said, not in this household. And I realized that my husband actually wants a career woman. Like, if I wake up today and I say I'm going to become a professor, every step that needs to help me get in that position is going to put himself all in. And then realizing that I could actually wake up one day and I don't want to be a career woman anymore. How are we going to navigate things like that? Sometimes I try to read stories of social media and play scenarios in our house, like what if we were in this kind of situation, how are we going to handle it? And that is where you start to realize that you and your partner probably don't, you probably don't think the same way, in a lot of areas, so there's opportunity to have a lot of conversations, day in, day out.
Thank you. Now I see work is calling. I'm going to let you go pretty soon, but I just need to ask, and that is off from or as a result of one of the things you said.
Yes.
Communication style,
Mm.
because there and fundamental differences between a man and a woman. For instance, you mentioned how you were just upset and he can't read it that you're
Yeah.
upset. He's not a mind reader. So how
Yeah.
what would you say on that?
Communication styles. I think first you have to move with the mindset that your partner loves you and is not trying to hurt you. remember the foundation that the person is a good person. Number two, I say no to silent treatment. I think it's a devilish way of handling issues. And I mean, from someone who is still in the process of working on it, I would say that it gives room for more offense, offense. Just you then start to pick on everything. Communication has to be very instant in the sense that you have to be able to say, I think that you've done something that I do not like, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I'm processing my thoughts, regarding this, right? Communication has to be very you have to desire to talk to the other person, even when you have to realize that you might not be in the same wavelength. So you have to find a way to be considerate to listen. There are times my husband does what I call a very difficult job. He runs a startup, and I feel like that work is difficult. Sometimes I ask him, like, why did you go for something this hard? You are the kind of people that they say do hard things. And he's trying to talk to me about his work. And I realized in that moment that sometimes I'm like, hey, just summarize it, just summarize it. But being genuinely interested in the other person. So if you ask me some questions today about what it does, I can actually say some things about it. And it comes from being genuinely interested in the other person, what it does, what it likes, what it does not like. Last night, we slept around 3 a.m. And let me tell you what we were talking about. We were talking about our childhood and the things we used to like to eat as children. As basic as that, we see, I pity our neighbors sometimes because the two of us laugh very loudly. So we talk about things, we will laugh and say, oh, do you remember this? There was somebody that used to sell this on our street. Being genuinely interested in the other person. And if you're genuinely interested in the other person, you care about their well-being, you care about the things that affect them, you care about their spiritual life, you care about their physical life, you care about everything. So communication has to be very genuine. You have to also learn to listen. I probably struggle with that a little as well, where you're like, just talk so that I can give you my hot response, especially if you're trying to trash out an issue. But I'm trying to genuinely listen, and it comes from being genuinely interested in the other person. Like, you have to care, like, and you have to listen to the things that they're saying, but they're not saying.
Yeah.
My husband is a very peace-loving person. So sometimes it's like, if I say this to you, it will cause fights. I mean, I just want peace of, I just want to rest at this point. But I'm trying to listen to the things that he's saying and pick on that small seeming statement and say, is this what you mean by this? And it's of course because you care about the other person. Yeah. So communication has to be very open every
Thank
day.
you. All right. So Muste says, I meant if they break up, not when they break up. Divorce is a reality, and we can't know who is incompatible until they try. Believe it or not, some people deliberately pretend just to get access to an individual through marriage. Have you heard of guys betting to sleep with a girl and marriage was just a game to them? If that person gives her belle immediately, the pain will hurt. I think time reveals real intentions, and you can't pretend too long, including in-laws. Do you know that some men don't like those scenario play because they don't like to be unnecessarily worried? Uh,
I
okay.
think the goal is not for you to get worried. The goal is actually for you to dig deep into yourself. I promise you, you don't even know yourself, fully, right? So somebody asked a question around in-laws. And then in the process of conversing with your partner, you actually realize that maybe you still have your guard up in some ways, or maybe you are still letting on the fear of the things, like the way you respond to issues actually helps you to dig deep into yourself. And I find that I do that a lot. I guess it's understanding already that this is not why this is not who my partner is. We're just trying to have a conversation. So being able to separate the conversation or scenario from your actual life is also a thing. That's not the reality of our lives. Our reality is probably far from that. I have very amazing in-laws. Like sometimes I want to come and type about my mother-in-law, like Jesus Christ, how did I get so lucky? You know, but when I still see things that people do on social media, I still want to ask that what would you do if you were in this kind of situation? And it also improves your problem solving, mindset, because you never can tell. You could say, God forbid, it can never be me, and tomorrow it is you, straight up. But just being able to say, I think I've seen something like this before, and there was a way I thought I could solve this problem. It's not the reality of your life. Scenarios are not the reality of your life, please, at all.
Thank you. On Instagram, Islamia_Desola says, such an amazing point of view from an amazing human. And on WhatsApp, Ian says, oh, yes, silent treatment is devilish. I agree 100%. Guest on the show, her husband is a G. Tell him I said so. He's a good man. She's blessed to have him. God bless the family.
Amen, 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 amen. Yes, my husband is a good man. I can't lie. Jesus. I always casually say, maybe God created like 10 people of his kind. I've carried one. The world can also for the rest if they're not taking me. I've
I
married
would
a very good man. A
it's a good
very good
person.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly, apparently. I'll definitely love to have more conversations with you, but for now, we have to let you go because I feel there are a number of things we still need to unmask because there's the second part of the question I asked, which is some months into marriage, what are some of those fundamental differences in the makeup of a man and a woman that you have found out? But I guess we don't have the time for that today. Or do you want to touch on it?
Let's touch on it.
Okay,
I,
let's
I
do it.
think I think the first thing is a woman goes through too many phases, biologically, and the man has to be very understanding. The woman is not just trying to do shakara. The woman is actually going through a lot, and you have to be a genuinely kind person to understand that. Um, I think, based on the things that we started to realize as a woman, that you literally just have like 1 week to yourself to be a normal woman, a human being.
You are not, you are coding these things. Menstrual, premenstrual, ovulation. You're coding these things. Just say it. Say it the way it is, Bolu.
Fighting for something at every point in time. And my husband is like, sometimes their body changes, and I'm like, see this thing. And he's like, hey, God, oh, you people are trying. Why are you running temperature? It's my period that is coming. Nothing is wrong with me. And he used to get very crazy at some point where one of my hand and one of my leg would just be hurting me. Like I'm in pain. Why am I in pain? Because my period is coming. Now, imagine somebody who is not understanding. You would just think that the woman is being unnecessarily dramatic. She's actually going through stuff. In fact, she's going through stuff that she cannot explain at some times. But you have to be very understanding. You have to learn your partner. You have to know them like a lot. How I react when my salary is coming is different from how my partner reacts when it's very different. Me, see, like 5, 6 days to the salary, I'm already talking about my budget. I'm already very excited. I'm already planning my cravings meals. But it's very like, I don't understand why you are excited so much about your salary. And I'm saying that it can be in the little things. How I react about food. Oh no, my partner and I react the same way about food. We love food, a lot. We get very excited about food. But I'm just saying that again, you have to be genuinely interested in your partner, in everything, especially when it comes to being a woman. There's so much that we go through that, you know, you have to care. You have to care that this person is not just being dramatic. this person actually is going through something and they want to let you in on it. I had a conversation with my husband one time and I said, I know that you're a very good person, but sometimes I worry how you will treat me when when I'm pregnant, you know. And it's I think something on social media of what people in terms of how the woman's body can react. And I realized that it could be a lot for your partner to take on, you know, from having an able-bodied woman to being fully reliant or dependent. And, you know, casually yesterday, because I said I was sick, you know, just earlier, you know, this week. And he said, if I can't do it all by myself, I would get help. And in that moment, it was such a like a simple statement, but a very comforting one that I'm not just going to leave you by yourself. I'm going to get help. I'm going to do it. Like the past few days I've been sick, I have breakfast in bed every
Ah,
day. Like yes,
hey, Bolu, you're
breakfast
living
in
the
bed.
dream.
They just wake me up and say, wake up, come and eat, and with your medications and everything. And again, I can't lie. It's just been a very good person, I'm very grateful for that. But even if you cannot be that person, like you have to wake up in the morning in Lagos State to rush out, what can you put in place to be of help to your partner? And it can be the husband or wife, because my husband had a procedure like last week or last 2 weeks that he could not move around as much as he wanted to, and I had to find ways to be there for him in every way. So life is in turns. It could be the woman, it could be the man. We don't have any formula to it, but just be a good person and be very considerate of your partner, in every way, honestly, in every way.
I believe that's a summary of today's conversation. Be a good person to your partner because as much as you're going to have some conversations, it depends on who the conversation is being had with, which means your
Yeah.
mentality, your lens, your perspective. It will determine a whole lot. So, cheers to all those who are getting ready to be married and preparing for their wedding ceremony. And if there's something you want to take out of the conversation with my guest, it's that there is more to marriage than the wedding, and you need to plan for that as well. And also, you have to painstakingly choose your partner because there is more after the dancing and everything. Thank you so much, Bolu. I certainly will have another conversation with you. I will. We'll look for a way around
Yes,
that.
we have to. But yeah, thank you so much. It's an exciting one. And I know that sometimes they say, oh, it's too early, you're just married, calm down, this and that. But just have fun every day. Like there's something to learn every day. There's something you're learning either about yourself, about your partner. uh, Enjoy your journey, enjoy your journey. It's every day is day one, really. Every day is actually day one.
On Instagram, Islamia underscore Desola said, "Ah, I'm blushing on your behalf, jotting things down." We
Yes,
love
so
love.
jot things down, jot things down.
All right,
Thank you
that's it for
so
today.
much.
Thank you. You can find Bolu on social media at My Lagos Diary. You can actually find her on
Underscore.
Instagram underscore. Okay, My Lagos Diary underscore. And she talked a lot about her wedding from the fitting to how she had to lose 3 kg in 5 days to fit into her wedding dress.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Yes,
to how
please.
she had to get food in advance, food stuff in advance for their home and so on. So you can check her out on social media. Next week, we'll return with another conversation on Soul Sisters, and you bet is going to be another lovely one. Thank you for your messages. I couldn't take every one of them. Oluwaseun, I'm sorry we couldn't take your question. We'll do that some other time. But please do take care of yourself. Soon enough, I'll be playing your African music on the Casbah. My name is Oluwaseun Olusegun. Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. I just knew we were going to stretch and extend